Hey guys, here with another edition of Sports Analysis. I'm Scott, and this time we're going to talk about the NFL and teams that are in the hunt for the playoffs. So for the start, we'll talk about the NFC and who's in the hunt, and realistically who's in the hunt. Like, I don't like the Bears. Like, I'm not really going to talk too much about the Bears. Like, they're 4-9. You know, this is through week 14, so like. They're 4-9, like they don't really have a shot. The Giants don't really have a shot. Like, I'm kind of a Seahawks fan. They don't really have a shot. I'm even going to say Carolina Panthers. They don't really have a shot. The Saints, now I think if the Saints had, obviously like Drew Brees or even Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas, I mean, more legitimately of a shot, but they're just kind of, they are 6-7, like some of the other teams on this list, and are a legitimate contender, but with the Bucs kind of in their division and the Atlanta Falcons in their division, it's just going to be really tough for them to squeak by. The Falcons, they have a shot just because, their quarterback's not injured. They have a pretty solid roster. It'll just be kind of getting over the hump and getting into the playoffs. The Eagles have kind of a fight in front of them with the Dallas Cowboys and Washington football team, just kind of how Washington plays every team really well. They're just going to have a problem. And then a team that I honestly think has the greatest chance to make it is Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins. I mean, just because he's playing, his name is Kirk Cousins. The only reason we're not talking about him, he's been playing phenomenally. I don't have his stats sitting right here in front of me, but he's been playing out of his mind, and we just haven't really been talking about it because his name's Kirk Cousins. So pretty funny to really think about there. But yeah, it's kind of in reverse order. But my favorites that are in the hunt that have a shot to make the playoffs, Minnesota Vikings, and Atlanta Falcons are gonna be. I almost wanted to say the Saints, but I was like the Falcons. I just kind of talked myself into that one. And then, the Eagles are there. They just, they're the Eagles. They have one bad week. The fans get to them. Like, that's kind of their number one downfall. They have a bad week. The fans just kind of demoralize them, I feel like. I'm not a football player in that city, but I got to imagine you're walking down Walmart. You had a bad game. You see them. I don't know what NFL players in Walmart, but, you just see a fan and they see you and you're like, oh, like that whole thing with Aguilar a couple years ago, like they had him on the news, like dude was like criticizing him. So you Philly fans are crazy. Like you really crucial your Eagles, but I guess that's love, And when they won that Super Bowl, I'm sure that party was crazy. Wish I could have been there. So now after the NFC, we've got the AFC, slightly smaller list here, a little bit more condensed towards the top and bottom. But you've got the Miami Dolphins, who, they're kind of just dead in the water. Like, it would be exciting to see them get in, but I don't see that happening. The Raiders, they definitely have a chance. They're pretty solid. If it wasn't for, everything going on with the coach and players on the team and everything like that, they definitely, I feel like, would be in the playoffs right now instead of in the hunt. Pittsburgh Steelers, they're kind of on the fall. They're with Ben and everybody, they're kind of on the downside, on a downward slope, but they're still 6-1. They're really holding it together and trying to get that ship into the playoffs, which, Pittsburgh always kind of figures it out. They are a historically good franchise, so keep an eye out on them. You got the Denver Broncos, 7-6. They've got a really solid shot at making it in there. They got to beat a lot of really stacked teams like Kansas City Chiefs and even the Raiders and all those teams there. So they've kind of got the toughest road. Secondly, to a couple of these other teams in here that are in the hunt, mainly the Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. And I put those two teams together because they're kind of eerily similar with like their first, their quarterbacks being the first picks in drafts and having one kind of star-like receiver, a really good back in Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb, also Ohio teams. There's a lot of similarities between the Browns and the Bengals, and having the Steelers in the hunt too kind of makes it interesting in the AFC North. Having Baltimore just kind of right outside those records there, it's going to be interesting, but Being a Browns fan, I got to say they're my favorite to make it, but realistically, if I'm looking at it from a football perspective, I think the Bengals have the best chance to make it in, followed by if the Browns can get it together, and then the Raiders if they didn't have anything going on. So I guess because they do have all that stuff that happened to them and everything, I got to go with the Denver Broncos, kind of having the best shot, being in the hunt to actually make it into the playoffs. The Bengals are just, I feel like, have a slight edge with Joe Burrow. He's definitely a quarterback. When they took him, I was like, yeah, they did good. Well, when the Browns kind of took Baker, I was kind of like, I don't know. I would have preferred, me personally, I prefer Josh Allen. As a Browns fan, I prefer Josh Allen. But who I was calling for and really wanted, but I knew wasn't going to happen, was Lamar Jackson, just because you don't want a Heisman and stay in college. Like, that's just not a thing. But he did it, and he kind of got passed on by 30 teams, and it's shocking to me to see that. But that's what happened. History is what it is, and we have who we have, and that's I wanted him to win a championship for the city of Cleveland. So whatever he's got to do that, I want him to do, and that means taking this team into the playoffs, getting through a couple of rounds. I mean, probably not going to have home field advantage, but if he can make it to a Super Bowl, I'm a happy Browns fan. But yeah, like I said, Bengals, Browns, then Broncos probably likelihood of getting into the playoffs. And that's pretty much all we wrote for this segment of Sports Analysis. Like, comment, subscribe. Comment down below what you'd like to hear us talk about. And until next time, this is Sports Analysis with Scott, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.